My name is Jerona Rotich. I am the president of KESA, and I'm so thankful that all of you made time to be here this evening to listen to our students. You know, we're in the midst of two pandemics, actually COVID-19, and I was in a session the other day and they called what is going on, police brutality, they called it COVID-16-19. If you go to the history of what happened in the US in 1619, so we're in the midst of COVID-19 and COVID-16-19. So we wanted to take time to listen to our students, to find out what is going on, and especially part of KESA is we mentor our students. So we want to see what we can do as a community, as a people, as a team of scholars, together. So today we will start with, we'll take a minute of silence, because in the midst of this COVID-19 and COVID-16-19, we have lost a lot of people. We have people who have lost their lives. So we want to remember them. So let's take a minute of silence to remember all those who've lost their lives or those who are suffering due to what is going on. Thank you so much for doing that. And before I move on, we as KESA, we work as a team. We do not do this alone. We have a team and we work very well together as a team. I just want to take a minute to introduce the rest of the KESA officials. We have our Vice President, Dr. Patrick Mose, who is co-hosting. Dr. Patrick. We have Dr. Choti, who is our National Organizing Secretary. Choti, I know you're somewhere.
Hey, hi, everyone.
Good, thank you. We have Dr. Rachel Boyd, who's on our governing council. I saw Rachel come in. We have Dr. Ongeri. We have Dr. Abala. We have Dr. Penina Kamina. We have Dr. Kimasok, Dr. Asaka, who does all our social media, all the emails. We have our wonderful, wonderful secretary, Dr. Rachel Donya, who does all the emails. Thank you, Rachel, for what you do. We have Dr. Wakuru, who's our treasurer. And we have Dr. Abala, who is actually our editor for the journal. So students, I know we all need to publish. Please reach out to our wonderful, wonderful, greatest editor that we have, Dr. Abala Imali, if you're here. So if you get a message from her, that is a person you need to send your publications to. We also have our advisory board real quick. We have Dr. Kefo Otiso, Dr. Choti, Koti, and Dr. Maina. I've not seen them, but those are the people we work as a team. We do not do things alone. So I want to thank you. I want to thank our team. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce the panelists. We also have Ms. Ann Jaffe, who is on our panel, who is on our board as the representative of the student organization, or the students, graduate students, undergraduate, of all the students affairs. She sits on the advisory governing council of KESA. Without further ado, I'm going to hand over to our wonderful, wonderful, greatest representative, Ms. Ann Jaffe, and she'll take over from there. Welcome, Ann.
Thank you for that. Welcome, everybody, to this interesting session. It should be interesting. My name is Ann again. I'm a third-year PhD student in North Carolina State University. I study communication, rhetoric, and digital media. As a technology researcher and I'm an emerging social scientist, I'm interested in understanding how digital cultures made in the West are exported to the global South, how they're being used in these other places where they were not manufactured. So I'm taking an interdisciplinary approach that draws from cultural anthropology, digital political economy, and other things related to communication, such as innovation and development technology. So that's just a short snapshot of who I am. My other panelists who are students, and they're going to have a chance to introduce themselves, are Gilbert, Peggy, Gideon, Moffat, and Stanley. So quickly, we're going to start in that order. If you can quickly introduce yourself, tell us where you're from in Kenya, tell us what you're currently doing in the US, and what were you doing before you came to the US. Over to you, please.
Okay, I'll go first. I'm Makomere Gilbert, master's student at Oklahoma State University. I came in last year. This is I'm going to my second year from fall. A student in human development and family science. My concentration is gerontology. That's the study of the aging process and mentally, physically, and sociologically. I'm from Kakamega County. Before I came in, I was working with Kakamega County. I'm glad to be here and happy to see everyone here. I hope we'll have a good time as we go on.
Thank you, Gilbert. Let's have Peggy introduce herself, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Peggy Thayo, and I just graduated from Ohio University in May. I was pursuing a master's program in international development, and because I'm passionate about development. Prior to coming to the USA, I was a teacher in Kenya. I taught in Malindi, Barani High School, and I also happened to come in 2017 to the USA under the Fulbright Learning Teaching Assistantship Program, is the exchange program whereby you come to the US to teach Swahili. So that's when I came to the USA. And then after the 1-year program, I then applied for master's. And then that is when I just completed the master's program. So I'm happy to be here, and all of you are welcome.
Thank you, Peggy. Let's have Gideon Kimutai.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gideon Kimutai. I'm from Eldoret, Kenya, and I study at Missouri Southern State University in Joplin. I study computer information systems, and I've been passionate about technology. That's why I'm in that field. Prior to coming to the US, I was at the University of Eldoret. I was doing a bachelor's degree in applied statistics. And I'm also a track and field athlete. I'm here on athletic scholarship. I came in this, I'm almost 2 years old in the US. Thank you.
Oh, very good, Gideon. Next in line is Moffat Juma.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Moffat Juma. I graduated from Youngstown State University in May with a master's in chemistry. Looking forward to joining my PhD program at University of Alabama at Birmingham. Prior to coming to the US, I was a teacher in Kisii County, where I taught for 5 years at a school known as Kenyoro Secondary School. Thank you for the opportunity. Looking forward to a great discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Moffat. And last but not least, we have Stanley Melly. Please take over.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Stanley Melly. I come from Ziwa, that is Eldoret in Uasin Gishu County. I came here in 2014 to the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. I was a track athlete, and I graduated with a bachelor's in agribusiness, and currently I'm doing a master's in agricultural economics at the same university, that is at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. Before coming to US, I came to US immediately after high school, so actually I didn't do much before I came here. Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley. That was a beautiful introduction from all of us. I forgot to say what I was doing before I came to the US. I was working in renewable energy startup in Nairobi, and I come from Nairobi as well. So on to our first question. First, I'd like to say that the very first set of questions we are going to have everybody attempt, or rather give their opinion or their experience during this COVID-19 session or experience that we've had. But after that, I'll start handpicking so that at least we're able to manage time and also answer all the questions. But if you feel that you're not comfortable answering any question, feel free to pass it over to the next person. But I just think everyone will have something to say. These are interesting questions. I look forward, I'm excited. So first question is, describe how you felt near the start of the spring semester when news about COVID-19 started emerging from China. and when the first case was reported in the US on Jan 20th in the state of Washington. Peggy, would you like to go first?
Okay, thank you so much. Let me handle the first part of the question, whereby you asked what was my reaction when the first case was reported in Asia, that's in Wuhan. Actually, you know, life was normal. Apparently on my side, I thought, you know, this virus is from China. Sorry, I'm sorry about that. But that is what my intention was at first. And I was like, okay, it is not gonna come to the USA. And so life was going on as usual. Everything was okay. But then I remember when the first case was reported in Washington, that is Seattle. And I was like, okay, this thing has come home. And I was like, I never knew that it will come this far at the doorstep. You know, it hits you hard when something is closer home to you. So I remember we had gone for the spring break, I think. And a friend of mine had taken a road trip to Washington. We were going to renew our passports at the Washington DC, at the Washington Embassy, the Kenyan Embassy, sorry, in Washington DC. So by the time we went there, everything was just fine, and we were like, okay, it's not gonna come here, it's not gonna affect us, you know. And apparently at the back of my mind, it was like, hey, this is the United States of America, everything is going to be controlled. And little did we know. And then we started receiving emails, you know, from school. Apparently they were saying, you know, if you go for spring break, if you've traveled, please don't come back. And the classes are going to go online. And then you're like, okay, what's happening? And then lockdown came. They were like, stay at home order. And you're like, okay, so this is home. And then so everything was so fast. Like processing everything was just hard. And it was just one thing after the other, one thing after the other. And apparently, you know, USA had reported a lot of cases of COVID. And yeah, so just to sum up, it was just different. Like I didn't know that it was going to hit this bad.
Right. Yeah, that's a good start. Anyone else wants to go next?
I'll go next. For me, the university I study in, it's considered one of the safest places you can study in US, considering also that is rated. Considering also is one of the places that diversity is a touch up higher for them. So when this came in, being the safest place for students to study in, it was a concern for everyone. I had a meeting with my advisor, whom we are discussing on several ways we'll carry on with our project, and we anticipated what happened, because for him, we had 1 week to spring break, and already the university had hinted to us that they will not take any chances us going to spring break, that we may go to spring break, but coming back will be delayed based on assessment that will be done, because the federal state had not taken any steps towards containing the virus as it had been announced in China, because we have students from China who we study with, and to them, based on the information they had from home, they had already started using masks. And that one alarmed people in school. So people started asking themselves, why is it that they are using masks and like everyone is not concerned in US? So for us, for me, we anticipated this was going to happen. So when we went to spring break, we were sure we are not coming back, because already we had been told. We only been notified of our coming back by the university based on the safety assessment of the school and everyone in school.
Oh, wow, that's pretty interesting. And that's why we're sharing all these different experiences. It's interesting that you say some of the Chinese students in your school were wearing masks already. Personally, in my school, which is NC State University, I didn't see anybody wearing a mask before. And there wasn't much going on, even in terms of speculations that we were going to go for spring break and not come back. So I would like to say that I was personally caught by surprise, but just like Peggy, for me, this was a Wuhan thing that I thought it's not coming, and Chinese government will manage to, you know, keep it there. So I was a bit shocked when I started seeing the numbers in New York, you know, going really as high as 100 per day. And I think that's when it hit me so hard that this thing is serious. Who would like to go next? We still have Gideon, Moffat, and Stanley.
I want to go next. Yeah, so I like to say that my experience was a bit of panic, having been a finalist student, and we had gone for the spring break, and during that break, we had an extension for like 3 weeks, where the university was trying to move from the face-to-face mode of learning to the virtual mode of learning. So that really impacted us as like me as a finalist, because my research could not go on. When now we're trying to visit like stores for food and groceries, most of the shelves were empty, you know. So it was really a big challenge. But after a couple of days, like 3 weeks, we were able to move to the virtual mode, which was able to handle the remaining part of the semester and be able to do now the research through theoretical modeling. And through the support of the school and the advisors, we were able to finish in record time. And all in all, we got a refund of the given funds we had paid for research. So it was a big panic for us at the beginning, but at the end of it all, it proved to be an opportunity for us to learn something new. That was learning through the virtual mode. Thank you.
All right, that's good. You have introduced a question that we shall be tackling very soon in terms of challenges that we have undergone as international students in this time of this global pandemic. But let's also hear from Moffat and Stanley before we move on to the next question.
I'd like to go first. Okay. So when we heard about the pandemic cropping up in China, to me, I didn't think it would be a big issue, and life was just going on as normal. And we were about to go to spring break. We were having our indoor season going on, and so it came a time when we were on spring break, and suddenly we just got communication that we might not come back after spring break, or our spring break could be a bit longer. And that's when now I realized that, oh, this thing is getting serious. And I didn't think to get this far, as I thought it was. I didn't have any much information about the virus and everything. I thought it was just a mild flu and it will be contained in China before it gets out there. And once we got that communication, like, we won't be able to come back. Our classes might be shifted to be online and all that stuff. That's when I realized, okay, these things, pretty serious. And it was tough, shifting from traditional sitting classes to online classes, especially on some certain classes. It was a big of a challenge, but things moved so fast and it was out of control. And being in the US with our normal thinking, this thing will be easily contained. Yeah, so that was my experience on the COVID-19 at first when it just started kicking in.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Stanley, what do you have to say?
So on my side, I can say at the beginning, I think it wasn't a big issue because life was normal. We were just going on with our businesses. But again, most of the students in my class, because we are doing in my field, we are only like, I think 5 master students. So we started discussing on what to do because most of our professors too are from these Middle East countries like Korea, India, Taiwan. So we discussed, we were like, to reduce and minimize the risks, I think we better start doing our classes online. So even before they started the virtual learning system, we were already doing our classes online. So I think that kind of helped us to, get used to the system. But then it was tricky because there are some things you need to have the professor with you physically. But again, we had to get used to it. So I think at the beginning, life was still normal. We were not panicking. We were like, okay, this is US. I think this can easily be handled, and But then with time, we saw the cases rising, and So I think that's what I can say.
Right, and I think, well, from this conversation already, I'm seeing that some universities, or let me even say some states, had like a head start into the coronavirus, and they sort of planned on what they would do. Well, some states, or let me say some universities, were caught off guard. It's interesting that you say, Stanley says that this is US and they should be able to handle, right? Which is the same statement that I said, the virus is in China and China should be able to handle the virus. So all these are stereotypes and also things that we tend to think about countries. So for me, this has been a learning experience in terms of what do we expect from even first world countries, the superpowers. So this pandemic is big, and fortunately, Africa is not as affected, but that's a discussion for another different day. I don't want to bring it up or digress too much. Going on to a second question, but some of you have already touched on it. So let's quickly do this one. How has COVID-19 impacted your studies and research and life in America? Who would like to go first? Some of you have already touched on it, but we can quickly brush through on some issues that I think haven't come up. Let me repeat the question. How has COVID-19 impacted your studies and research and life in general in the United States of America?
I'll go first. COVID-19, to be sure, it has interrupted, it has brought around uncertainty. In terms of studies, of course, we moved online for the remaining part of the spring semester. It was not an easy thing because we had not anticipated that we'll have something new like the Zooming, doing classes through Zoom. I believe for most of us, it was like a new thing to us. We have done conferences on Zoom. We have seen people presenting their theses on Zoom. So for me, the study interrupted me in like many ways. I managed to finish my semester in peace, but there are 2 classes I picked for summer classes, and I had to drop like statistics. Because to me, I felt these are classes that I needed more interaction for me to manage or to manage it on, because doing pre-recorded videos where you go through, and then for us, it was scaled to 1 month exam per week. So if you don't get it, because statistics are build up class, so if you don't get it this week, next week you'll have problems getting it. So for me, it was so hard. In terms of research, I had to change even my topic that I intended to start with, because after discussing with my advisor, we saw it good to change, to factor in COVID-19, because in my area, COVID-19 has really interrupted everything. Where the old people are, they have closed the places, their lives have been interrupted. Things are now new to them. They have a new norm to them. So I have to change my topic of research so that I see if I can study how this COVID-19 has affected their lives. My life in America, we can say for sure, like all of us can agree, it was not easy. Social isolation is not a human-based thing, because most of us are social contact animals. We depend on the contacts we get in, day out. So it was not easy telling people to social isolate in their houses while most of us are new here. most of us, we are not used to this individualistic way of life. Our societies back at home are collectivists, where we depend on each other, my brother, my sister, my uncle. But when you come here, you realize here life is independent. You push it on your own. So you can imagine if you are social distancing in your room and you are alone, you don't have anywhere to go. Sometimes you don't have even someone to call you throughout the week. You only have your family, and at times your family are worried. So you can't keep on just calling them daily because they are worried how you are doing in a foreign land alone. It changed my life completely. In like first 2 weeks, there was heightened anxiety, that one I will say, because you are in uncertainty. You don't know what will happen tomorrow. You don't know what the state is going to say tomorrow. You remember when we went into panic buying? Like you don't know if the following week, you are being told in Italy, everyone is indoor and no one is allowed out. You need to ask the state through their police that you want to go out for shopping. What if you go to the food store and you find there's no food? What will happen? And you are new here. There are no churches, the school is closed, so no one can step in for you. And anxiety raised for most of us, if we can agree. And it was not easy for me, but when things have started opening up with the new norms of putting on the mask, and it has also helped me because now getting out of the house and moving out, you have to calculate. What are you going to do? Whom are you going to meet? How beneficial is it to you? Because even talking to our professors, and they'll be like, man, if you don't have anything you're going to do out, just be safe for your sake and your family at home. They're also worried for us. So for me, it has been a big concern. It has changed the way I see things, the way I do things. And I believe going on, it will be a new norm to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you for taking a deep dive into the new norm, which I believe all of us have a story to tell. That was a very good summary, actually, of, I believe the story is synonymous to all of us. So without further ado, I think I'd like to go into the next question. And this one, I'd like Gideon to respond to us as the first person. Looking ahead, what are some of the challenges you're facing as an international student in the US during this pandemic? So this might sound the same as the previous question that we have tackled, but it's not really the same because there are some issues that have not been brought about, and we are all unique. So Gideon, you probably would start with your story, and then we move on to Stanley and then Peggy.
Okay, thank you. We have a large number of challenges we are going through, and if we decide to spare all of them, we might not be able to finish up. So being an international student here in the US, our hands are somehow tied, and what we're experiencing now is a lot, especially in terms of upkeep, and all of that. For example, I'll just use my example. I'm on athletic scholarship, and they pay for my stay here, from tuition, housing, and everything. And due to this coronavirus thing, campuses have gone into losses. And what I have heard is that they are cutting down their budgets. And people like us who depend on full scholarship because we can't afford to pay for ourselves will be somehow affected because we are facing reduction in that scholarship. And I don't think we qualify for grants here in the US because we are international students. And from that, there's a certain amount, maybe you might be told, you have to pay this at the end of the coming semester or academic year and stuff. And from that, also, in terms of jobs and hustles, we are also limited because we are only allowed to work on in-campus jobs. We are not allowed to work outside. And it will be kind of a challenge for us, to raise that remaining amount. And we know quite a number of us, if not all of us, back home, we come from very humble backgrounds, and raising such amount of money to afford the education system here in the US will be a very, 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 very big challenge for us. And right now, it's kind of like a hit of wave 2 of the coronavirus is coming up because where I am right now is we're experiencing new cases of coronavirus, which are more than the first phase, because the numbers right now are much higher than when the coronavirus kicked in. And right now we are limited in terms of, because schools are closed, there are rules and regulations put in place, to capture the spread of the COVID-19. And I'll say that way we are enclosed in a box where we can't, move out and, cut up for ourselves. And most of the time you have run short of food, money, you have to call home, you tell your parents, I have this need, I don't have this amount of money. And that's kind of a challenge that you're facing right now. And also, during this summer period, we are not covered by the health insurance, and we have to purchase them for ourselves. And it's kind of expensive. And if you don't have that amount of money and you cannot afford the pay for your insurance, and in case you fall sick or something, you want to afford to go to the hospital and get the medical care. And that's just like a tip of the icebergs of the problem we're facing right now. And it's that.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Indeed, financial issues are thorny issues that we are all going through as international students, and especially during summer. There's also waivering of school fees, as you say. Most of us are on scholarships or graduate assistantships. So there's a lot of uncertainty for sure towards the end of, as we go on with this pandemic, we do not know. And for me, I think my biggest issue is uncertainties, the fact that we have no idea what will come, even just in the fall semester, and also in terms of life here in the US. If any one of us was to contract coronavirus as an international student, where we probably do not have very good medical insurance, and even if we have medical insurance, we do not know how much of it will be paid by the medical insurance company. So there's definitely a lot of uncertainties. Personally, I'm supposed to be sitting for my comprehensive exams in the fall semester. I don't know if that is going to happen or not, but currently I lack motivation to study for anything, because sometimes I actually feel like it's the end of the world. Maybe I'm paranoid, but who knows? Stanley, quickly take us through anything that Gideon might not have mentioned.
I think Gideon has touched most of the stuff. So maybe I can touch on employment. Due to the nature of our visas, like the F1 students mostly, we were only allowed to work on campus. And so with this kind of pandemic, it has reduced the number of opportunities. So currently, I think most of the students are out of work, they are unemployed. And this is even increasing the pressure on these students, because one, some of these students are dependents, like their families depend on them. And the pressure, somebody is asking you, oh, I need this. The family is also asking you, can you do this for us, But they don't understand that at this time, some schools, when schools were closed, some jobs and employment opportunities were also closed. So for my case, I think when school was closed, one of the professors, I used to work for one of the professors, so we had to terminate the contract because we were not able to, to work online because the nature of work involves physical, job. Secondly, the issue of social isolation. I know personally I like sports. I like being out there, I'm an outdoor person. So this with this corona, it has restricted me to being indoors. And this is one of the things I'm not passionate about. So I think but on the positive side, this corona has taught us to be, how to utilize all the opportunities that we have, how to, how to take life, life is precious, I think we've been taking life for granted. We've been taking opportunities that we have for granted. But I think now we are realizing that, okay, life, when you're alive, when you're okay, when you're healthy, you have to thank God. We have to appreciate the nature and the beauty of life. And for me, I think it's a challenge because I just received an email the other day and they are saying our semester might begin a little earlier than expected. And I'm supposed to be defending my thesis this semester. So it's kind of, putting me in a kind of pressure because now my time is limited. I have to finish the research, put everything, my project together before the start of the semester. So I think it's even putting me under kind of a lot of pressure. But again, I can say the best thing we can do as international students is to stay connected. I think if we have an opportunity to reach out, we should not be scared to reach out to other friends, to speak to other people, because if it wasn't for the connection with the friends I have from, especially from other countries, I think the previous semester would have been kind of tricky. So that connection helped us to study together and we were able to pass our classes because doing economics and statistics is one of the those are tricky subjects. So I'm urging all the international students to stay connected, and I'm also urging the professors, those people who can, speak out on our behalf. Like we need to have something that connects all the international students, because right now I know there are people who are really going through hard times. There are some people who are not employed. They don't have accommodation where to stay. Now the issue of food, because if people are not employed, where are they going to get food? Again, I think for now that's what I can say.
Thank you for that. I like the fact that you've actually brought up the positive side of COVID, because and as much as we've had a horrible experience, I believe we've had also positive experiences that all of us will be able to share right after Peggy tells us what her experience has been in terms of challenges.
Okay, thank you so much. I will begin by touching on the issue of internships. A lot of international students had summer internships, and they're mostly paid for, paid summer internships. So that is the only avenue that international students get to get some coin in their pockets. They work during the summer. So most of my friends who had gotten the summer internships, they were canceled, and that has made them stay at home, no source of income, because during the summer you don't work on campus. So that has been a really great challenge. Another thing also, I'm talking on behalf of the international students who just graduated and they're going for their OPTs. Getting jobs is going to be a little bit tricky because most Americans have lost their jobs actually. And here in this country is Americans first and then other people later. So owing to the fact that most Americans have lost their jobs, what about international students who come, international, foreign people who come next? Like what is going to happen? So it's really a little bit tricky, owing to the fact that OPT gives you 3 months to make sure that you get an employment. So that you report that you have something you're working on. But look at this lockdown, look at everything is online, look at the layoffs and everything. So it's going to be tricky for a lot of international students on OPT. So those are really things that worry me a lot and have been quite challenging. Another thing also on the issue of research, I know most of my friends who had IRB approval, they're supposed to travel to their home countries to carry out their research in their various countries. So when this travel ban came after COVID, you know, they weren't able to travel. They couldn't go anywhere. So you found that most of them have ended up changing either their topics or opting for other methods of data collection. And specifically, I know a friend of mine who decided to opt out of a thesis, and she went into like a professional paper. So she used secondary data methods of collection. And you know, that is going to affect her study. And you know, just generally, when she came here, she knew, I wanted to work on this. I wanted to focus on this. But no one knew COVID will happen. So once it hit, look at what happened. So those are some of the things that were quite challenging too.
Yeah, indeed, those are quite challenging issues for, you know, all of us, and mostly, as you say, people who've just recently graduated, and the shrinking job market, we don't know what is going to happen. Let's quickly, each one of us quickly mention something positive that has come out of COVID-19, you know, period. I know, give me a minute. Gideon has mentioned something positive already. So if you don't have anything positive to say, that's fine. The rest of us can quickly give in our remarks. Personally, I think it's been a time to self-rediscover me. You know, I feel like life was so fast-paced. I was living on the clock. I was eating horribly. I was not looking after me. So suddenly I have too much time on my hands, but I also do appreciate that I've had time to think about me and what I want for myself, and how I'm also going to approach, you know, my studies and also my future. So for me, it's been a good time to reconnect with me, in as much as it's a sad moment where we're losing people and all these bad things that are happening. And, you know, even science and technology has almost been defeated by the pandemic. But I've personally had a moment with me, which is a beautiful thing, because we don't get those moments, especially when you're in graduate school. Anyone else has a positive experience?
Yeah, I think I'll add on to what you said. I've also rediscovered myself actually during this period, because life was so fast paced before. And, you know, I would wake up, you know, grab myself a sandwich, you know, and, you know, go to school, something like that. But during this time, actually, number one, I'm able to cook my food, which is okay, something I never used to do before because of the nature of the, you know, school and everything. And also I've been able to enroll for online courses. Like I'm into development so much. So there's been a lot of courses on, you know, online about development in United Nations and all that. So I've also been able to enroll into those courses. Another thing on YouTube, there are a lot of information, tech-savvy information, you know, so like if I go to those tutorials, I'm able to learn a lot of things. So during this period, as much as it has been so bad and all that, I think a lot of things that have prevented me from sinking into depression, as you say, because of the loneliness and everything, is just being able to rediscover other things, other aspects, other avenues that you never thought you would explore. So it has been also a blessing in disguise, actually. So
that's right. Anybody with a positive experience that like?
I can say one of the positive things I have experienced is budget management. I've been able to manage my limited finances. So I think I can say I've been able to, know how to use my limited amount of money. Secondly, it has taught me that technology is a powerful tool. I've been able to, acquire a lot of information through such research and, going online and stuff. And lastly, I think it has enabled me to, do my personal exercises and, so I think I'm getting more fitter and healthier, Thank you.
Yeah.
From my experience, I can say that this COVID gave me an opportunity to reflect more on my life and also move close to God, because the way things were unfolding was so fast. You're like, what's going on? What will be next? Looking back, like back home, you look at our countries, they have a challenge in infrastructure and all that. But God has been good. Not had a big challenge like back home where people would be having infections spreading all over the country. And that was the bit that was really good for me. One of the challenges that we I've not highlighted there is the issue of the visas. Some of my friends have been unable to renew their visas, meaning that they are technically out of status. And with this kind of executive orders coming in every day, there is that give and panic. But we're hoping that when normalcy comes back, things will be able to move in a better way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Moffat, for even bringing up the issue of visa, which for some reason none of us had mentioned, but that's why we have an interesting panel. Gilbert, do you have anything positive that you have experienced?
For me, this pandemic has helped me move close to God, be close to my family. I have to confirm, like daily when I wake up, I have to check on them and know how they are doing. With the numbers rising at home. And then secondly, it helped me know now navigating to virtual learning, knowing that it's not a must, you have to be in class study for you to learn. The virtual learning is also another tool. It has also helped me know how to plan early in time. I had not planned to start my thesis as early as this. I still have 1 year, but I talked to my advisor and we are like, I'm starting this in this summer, my thesis as early as this. So we get to communicate with him a lot of times so that I get to hear from him and guidance so that when I'm opening up, I'll have made a step into it. Also, one thing, it has helped me to mind my health in terms of mentally and well-being, in terms of I need to practice, I need to exercise a lot, I need to mind what I eat, I need to mind about my well-being in terms of my health, my body, and my mind, so that I don't run into depression, because the situation around it's not an easy one. If you dodge, you can easily run into depression with social isolation and loneliness, as people have spoken. Lack of social contact can easily run you into depression, and you might not know. So it is something, the pandemic was helped me know that, man, I need to mind about my well-being very much.
Thank you for that. I think one thing that is clear is that also pandemic, we have learned how much as human beings we had defied Mother Nature, because there's just too much pollution. We're busy in inventing and innovating and living and, you know, throwing all the rubbish everywhere and not caring about the environment that we live in. So it was interesting to see, you know, even just animals coming out to enjoy, to have a bliss or sun basking, if you may, like the dolphins and the penguins coming out. That was very interesting, and they were not doing that previously when we had seriously inhabited most of the cities. So let's move on to the next question, which is, have you talked to other international students? How are they coping? The reason why I decided to bring up this question is because I have a friend in my cohort. She's from Egypt. And she was, of course, getting anxious like all of us, but for some reason, the Egyptian government managed to repatriate her and other Egyptians back to their home country. I don't know if you've spoken to other, which to me was a good thing. There's a point I was wishing, can the Kenyan government maybe take us back? I know it's an ambitious dream, but at the same time, if things get too hard, this is a foreign land, right? We are all foreigners, and like Peggy said, priority goes to Americans. And so the question is, have you interacted with other international students? How are they coping with the situation, or what are they saying? Are there any coping mechanisms they have brought in place that we can also probably adapt as Kenyan international students?
Okay, I think I'll go first on that. As international students, Ohio University is a college town. And so we have a bubble of international students. So what has happened here is there are students from all over Ghana, especially African students. So now, owing to the fact that you're here all alone, we don't have family, we are all we got each other. So how do we cope? How do we manage this pandemic as, you know, a family, because you're an African family? So what I've seen happen is that there have been a lot of Zoom sessions, especially here we have a strong African Students Union, whereby like every month we used to have a Zoom session just to Zoom in and everybody Zooms in. And then people are just able to talk about, you know, what is happening and play some music. Music, by the way, is really good therapy. So just playing some music and telling each other everything's going to be okay, you know, it has really helped a lot of students just cope with this. So I'm really grateful for the international community over here, because it's really, really been supportive and also very helpful. And also, I think I spoke to some Ghanaian students, those are students from Ghana also, and I know they had some GoFundMe for some of the students. We know very well that when the universities were closed, those students who used to work on campus couldn't work there anymore, which means they couldn't have any money for support, survival, paying the bills and rent. So what happened is, like, there were some GoFundMe that were created, and some money was collected, and then that money was channeled into the international student facility at the OU, that is Ohio University, and the money was redistributed to the students. So that was also something that was really okay.
Oh, wow, that's pretty interesting. Anybody else with a different experience with some other international students in your school?
Okay, I don't know if this is a program that is all over, but here in Missouri Southern, we have a program that each international student is assigned to a family friend, like a family that is here that he or she is assigned to, so that that family can look up onto him or her in case he or she needs anything. And from that, I've seen that that is a very, very, very good approach that this university put in place. So in this period, like that, so these international students didn't have anywhere to go after the spring break was extended, and it was indefinite, right? And most of them were able to be absorbed by those family friends, and they were being catered for. And from me, I saw that that played a very big impact on them, because if they were by themselves, maybe most of them couldn't have been able to cope with the current situation. And actually, I was very happy with the international, department here on campus, and I have quite a few friends, and most 2 or 3 of them went, they were accommodated by that family and through the period, and I think 2 of them have been able to go back to their home country, but the other one is still with the family. And that's a positive thing like that I saw from that.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Moffat, do you have something to say?
Yeah, on my end, I can say the Asian community around here, the Islamic community around here, at the start of this given pandemic, they came out with a food drive where they were giving food monthly. So as international students from Kenya and from Africa, we could accompany this, we could go with this given students from those given regions, and be able to get the food, which was very, very important to us, because I remember at the beginning, there was that given panic shopping where stores were running empty. I saw that as a good thing, and I believe that through the sharing, we've been able to keep in touch with each other and reassure each other that things will be well.
Can I say something?
Please go ahead.
Oh yeah. I thank God I just finished my school, so I'm also welcoming congratulations messages. So it's a real struggle being on this part of the world during this time. But first, I won't advise anybody to think of running home, because they are going to quarantine you twice, even 3 times, and it's a privilege to be on this side of the world. So there's always a way to maneuver around it. And as I've tried to put in the inbox here is that there are, like here, I'm here in Massachusetts, and I think there's a program that, this program that is like federally funded. So governments have money, and instead taking that money back, they can't. And people are eager to be supported. So we have like summer camps. So I believe all of the courses people are doing are relevant because they only look for high school, people who have finished high school. And you are able to justify, because even if you're doing computer science, you're able to justify how important that skill is for your CPT, or even to attach to other subjects. So I don't see why we can not try to look at the websites within our cities and towns and see whether we can apply for those. So just get in touch with the local town, the local city. That program, they have money to pay. And actually they give around $14, and also going upwards if you have experience dealing with young people. And yes, you'll wear all those masks, but you are going to get something back. Another thing is that I wonder why we are panicking about our visas. In the US here, things of visa, you would leave it about, you panic about it when you are back in Kenya. When you are here, your I-20 is enough. So when you see your visa is expiring, look for your international office, and they are going to extend your I-20. Your I-20 covers you up to the time you are done with your schooling. So let's not panic about the visa. You're already in the US. Another thing is that I think what I've learned is that keep friends and keep in touch with each other, and be there for each other. There are so many food pantries around, and most of us don't know when they are happening and how they are happening. Personally, I have an overflow of food in my house. So and unfortunately, I lost appetite for a whole week, but there's too much food around. So don't die hungry at your house. Be in contact with your friends, talk to them, they'll tell you where there are food pantries. There are those food in the cans, there are those who are giving groceries. There are also those who are really like those Christian communities. You may not be a Christian, but there are Christian communities who are like, we are really looking for those people who are starving in colleges. They'll bring you money. Personally, I have a friend who's half Jewish here. They asked me to send their copy of shopping. So connect those communities, those organized group within those locals, and they are going to give you their program on when they are bringing food to your area.
So the other question that we're going to go through, and we'll start with Gilbert, is as institutions prepare to reopen in fall 2020, are there any challenges that have been put in place? Are there any, sorry, let me say that again. As institutions prepare to reopen in fall 2020, are there any changes that have been put in place at your institution that may impact your education and status?
For Oklahoma State University, I think going forward, they are doing everything possible to ensure the place is safe and secure for any student coming in. Up to now, they have not even hinted of a possible date for opening up the campus. As it is, the campus is fully shut to anyone. Professors started coming in like last week, but under the authorization of the faculty head. If you're going to a building, you have the authorization of the faculty head to be there. So they are still monitoring and waiting on the state because it's a state university. So the state might decide what should happen. I'm afraid we might move to online classes in fall because they are weighing. Just the other time, the football players came in, and after interacting with demonstrators, 4 of them tested positive. So that raised an alarm again, that the safeguards they were taking, the few who came around, and in few days, 4 of them are testing positive. So they are still contemplating on what will happen. More so after the demonstrations, the numbers in this state have gone up. After the Tulsa meeting that was there the other time, the numbers have gone up. So the safeguards and restrictions are still in place. So we don't have any clue on what they are going to do next, because they depend on a decision made by the state, a decision made by this city, and then the school. So they have to build on what has been decided by the state, the city, and the school. So the school is still waiting for direction. But as it is now, it's shut for anyone, apart from faculty members who want to come in, and they must come in with authorization so that they know you are in. If you're found around the school and you're not supposed to be there, the police are around, they are roaming around. So if you're found there without any proper reason of being there, you'll be arrested, and a fine is like $500 for being found where you're not supposed to be. So up to now, I cannot say anything. We are still anticipating. We are still in discussion with our advisors and our lecturers, hoping that this fall we might go back to in-class studies. But they have hinted, even if we go back to in-class classes, we might do the hybrid one. We might go to class 1 week, and then the other week you are off class, so that those who are off are coming in school.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. For NC State, what I know is that the calendar has been adjusted. We'll be opening school earlier, I think 3 weeks earlier, and then closing just a week before Thanksgiving. So for me as an international student, my question is, that whole big break, what will I be doing in the US? If I had a choice, I would rather go home, yeah, you know, after Thanksgiving, and then come back in January when we're opening. Also, it will be winter time, so I don't know what will be happening at that time, but I just feel like the break being too long might be a bit unproductive for me. Any other person with changes that you think might impact your education or your status?
Yeah, according to me, the information I have from the University of Alabama at Birmingham is that my classes starting fall will be the hybrid system, where I'll be able to be, some of them will be virtual and the others will be face-to-face. And they will run up to Thanksgiving, where now everything will go to the virtual mode. That brings in the challenge of how will I be able to get my funding, because I depend on teaching assistantship, which you know that as a chemist, you have to be in a lab, guide students in a given lab session, get a number of hours per week to be paid. Also, the issue of the funding, states cutting down the funding to given institutions. We don't know how it will affect our scholarships, which is a very key factor, because for you to concentrate fully in your studies, you need to be assured that you'll be able to pay your bills, be able to meet your needs and support your family as you focus on your given studies. Also the research, my research now, I don't know how I'll be able to do it, because if at all we'll be moving now to the given virtual mode, being a wet scientist, where I have to be in a lab, do an experiment, make an observation, and be able to collect the given data, I really can't tell how it will be taking place. But all in all, I'm trying to keep the hope alive and believing that we'll be able to emerge strong from this and be a generation that was able to overcome this pandemic. Thank you.
That's a very positive note. I'm glad that you're trying to bring out the positive side, you know, how we can be hopeful and all cope with the situation. Yeah. Anyone else with an experience that you'd like to share in terms of
Okay.
Go ahead.
Mine is just to say the time limit, because I just received email saying we are going to start our classes early August, and by early November we'll be done. So I have like almost 2 months just free, you know. So my worry is, what if there is no employment in between that period? And again, they said for those defending their thesis, we might be forced to use the virtual mode, of which is kind of tricky. You know, defending a thesis on a virtual platform is not as, you know, presenting the real thesis. So I think it's kind of tricky, but at the same time, it's giving me an opportunity to, you know, learn new things and, you know, take life positive and, you know, be prepared for life outside there. Thank you.
Thank you too. Gideon, do you have something to add?
So what I've heard so far is more similar to what Gilbert talked about, and our school has still plans to be open, but they have not given an exact date. And our most recent email had said that there's a COVID-19 task force monitoring the situation, and they will give us an update in 1 or 2 weeks. Because as I said earlier, the county that I'm in, there is a rise in the cases of COVID-19 more recently, and yesterday there was a voting at the authorities that manage the city here. So they wanted a mandatory mask, everyone to wear a mask. So, and they were voting on whether everyone should wear a mask or not, and they voted no. Though there's a increase in the cases of COVID-19 recently. So right now, I can say they are monitoring how it will be, and they will give us information as time goes on, depending on how the spread curve goes.
Okay, that's a great insight. So personally, I work as a graduate teaching assistant, and I worry for my efficiency and my performance as an instructor, you know, because NC State will most likely be going hybrid. So I am not so sure how that will go. Already I've experienced virtual teaching, and I wouldn't say it was great. So I'm quite anxious to see what we're going to have when the fall semester comes, and how I'll be able to juggle in, you know, hybrid, like online and offline, and still, like I said, I'm preparing for my comprehensive exams. So I'm quite anxious about that. Let's move on to the next question, which is, what advice would you give to international students who aspire to come to the US in the fall 2020? Who would like to go first on that one? Do you have any advice based on everything that we have discussed and the new normal that we're living in today?
Okay. To encourage those aspiring to come to the US this fall and maybe in spring, when they get here, they, you know, please be positive, and, you know, let's just call a spade. That when you get here, it's not going to be a smooth ride, but you have to be. It's all about determination and how hard you are to break. So only those who are determined succeed, and it's just about the positiveness in you and the determination you have. So my encouragement is that those aspiring to come here, you know, stay positive, be social, connect, and life will be, you know, will take its way.
Okay, yeah. Gideon, for that. That's good advice. I think what you're basically saying is that people need to be open-minded, even as to the quote-unquote land of milk and honey. They need to know that the new normal is quite something. Okay, who else?
I would say the most thing right now is to be flexible. Just they should be ready to adjust to any kind of situation, and they should be open-minded. Like be ready to take any opportunity, but at the same time, they should be mindful of their health, their well-being. So generally, they should just be positive and be hopeful and optimistic.
Peggy, do you have something to say?
Okay, yeah, I have something to say for the international students who are coming. Actually, I have 2 points. The first one is they should link up with local international groups. What I mean is, like, if they're coming from Kenya, like everywhere you go, every state you go, whichever university you go, there's always a community. So make sure that I will advise them to make sure that they link up with those Kenyan communities, because it's really helpful, especially during times like this. And also when you're coming in, you are new and you come from home, you have these expectations of America, and then reality hits that it's not what you expected. So there are those people who are going to hold you up, you know, like when you're almost losing your sanity, these communities are really, really important. Another thing too that I thought is really, really important for an international student is to get a driving license. That is really important to me. I will advise them to do that. Like, if you're driving back at home, when you come here, make sure that you, whatever state you are in, go take an online driving test and then go do the virtuals, and then you get your driving license. It's really, really important. Number one, traveling in the United States, owning a car is not a luxury. It's actually a necessity. So like when you apply for jobs and you eventually get a job, you won't have to depend on the buses all the time, you know, to go wherever you're supposed to go. At least you need to get a car. So I will really advise them during their first semester, kindly get a driving license so that you can be able to maneuver around. And if you can't, you know, buy a car, there are very many friends who have cars that are willing to loan the car to you, wherever you want to go. Like, especially during this COVID period, you know, the way the buses are, you are not aware, you're not sure. Like, if I take the bus, maybe I want to go do grocery shopping. I want to take the bus. How sure am I that the bus is going to be safe with the COVID stuff? So if you can drive, or if you have a driving license, you can just ask a friend, hey, can I borrow your car? And once they give it to you, you can be able to drive yourself around. It's really important for those cases, and also for jobs. Like when you have a job, eventually when you want to have a job, you should know how to drive. So those are the 2 points I will advise them to do.
Yeah, Peggy, that's really good advice. But as you advise them to get a car, I think it's also important to remind them to come with some bit of pocket money, because they'll need some budget, right? Like to get a car. Well, the beauty about the US is that you can get a car as cheap as and still in good condition. But I think it's also advisable to tell them to come with money that you can spend, because some of us came here with the little that we had, and we had to use those same buses, although it was not Corona time, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's hear from Gilbert, and then who hasn't spoken? Gilbert and Moffat.
Yes, mine is to encourage those given students who are expected to be landing here like in the fall. Chances are that they may not make it this given fall due to the having the embassies closed and airspace, but they can defer to maybe the spring semester or the fall 2020. Let them be in touch with the international department of their respective institutions so that they are able to keep their records updated on what they're doing. When we'll be having this COVID contained, or the new normalcy now, people having been able to work on that, they'll be able to make it here. So still, America is a land of opportunities. Let them keep those given dreams. Let them keep the given hope alive, and they'll be able to land here and perhaps pursue their given ambitions. Thank you.
Thank you, Moffat. I mean, yeah, let's now hear from Gilbert.
With uncertainties around, we are not sure if guys will make it in by August, but let's be hopeful that if they get in, our advice is they should be ready for culture shock. That one is obvious. Don't come with a closed mind, come with an open mind, knowing you're coming to learn. Everything you learn, the way we do things at home might not be the way things happen here. Be ready to adjust as fast as possible and settle down. Second thing, connect. Before you even connect, you are going to an organization which has students. You're not the first student there from Kenya or from Africa. Connect. even inquire. Here, inquiring is easy and people will give you direction. Inquire even before you come. You can be linked to someone who can help you around. You can imagine you're coming, you are new, you are landing in US with that confusion. You don't know where you're going. Everything to you is very fast. Everything to you is very new. So if you don't have like connection, you'll take a lot of time to know what's happening around. And then a second thing, as someone has said here, as we come, kindly don't close up. Many guys come in and close up. They want to be to themselves. How do you know when you are keeping to yourself? You need to come out. People will not know if you have a problem. Like I said initially, this is an individualistic society, and many people tend to adapt to this life when they come here. So when you come here, kindly, you have like to shift your mind. This is not like home that people will bag you up to know how you are doing. No, here you need to come out and speak out for people to know you are going through issues, or people to know you want to be informed. And then once you are here, kindly join. There are those organizations, International Students Organization. Maybe you can reach a place where Kenyans are many. You find there's one for Kenyans, there's one for African students. Kindly, expeditiously join them and be part of the journey and seek to know. One thing I repeat, if you don't speak out, no one will not know what you're going through in this country. You need to speak out so that people listen to you, people listen to what is happening. Another thing, for those ones who are viewing, those ones who are privy to this conversation, join KSID. From here, I want to assure you I've learned many things. I've known several people from here. We have people here who came here way long time, like in 10, 15 years. They have experience on the ground. They know networks on the ground. When we connect through this platform, I'm sure we'll get to know many things on the ground in terms of how we live, what you are supposed to do, what you are not supposed to do, the new things that are coming on board, because currently there are new rules being implemented with the current administration. And if you don't stay above board, you'll not get to know what is being legislated and what is being passed. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to add that we also have KSID, which is the organization that organized this meetup that we're having today. We have a WhatsApp group and a Telegram group. So if you know any of the students coming in the fall 2020, as a good Kenyan who has been through this experience, it's only good for us to add these people to these groups. Also, like you're saying, Gilbert, most universities have facilities to help, new students settle in. But again, we come from a highly collectivist culture, which is Kenya, like you mentioned at the beginning, and this is highly individualistic culture. So if anybody is not willing to speak out, it's true, you are actually going to be in a lot of trouble, which I know some people who've come and gone back, and that's before Corona. So imagine right now when there's Corona and you're stuck alone in your cubicle or in your room. So, this is brilliant advice. Who's Peggy?
Yeah, Peggy. Just to add on the international student, union groups, it's really important I will encourage students who are coming, new ones who are coming, to at least, vie for positions in these student union groups. It's really important because it sharpens you. You're from Kenya, you're only used to working with Kenyans. But now when you join those groups, you're going to work with students from all over the world, because these groups are a boiling pot of students from across the world. So it's really important in terms of diversity. You get to know how will you work with these particular people when you eventually go into the work, the field. So it's just really important. Number one, your leadership skills are going to be built. And then also you're going to know how to interact with, diverse groups of people. So I just wanted to add on that.
That's a very good point. Thank you so much for bringing that up. So last but not least, before we open up for questions, is how is your family responding to the recent happenings in the US? When I say recent, I mean COVID-19 and police brutality. You guys are aware of the hashtag Black Lives Matter movement that we've been having in the past few weeks? Who would like to go first? Personally, my family keeps calling me. They think, you know, the world is falling apart. It's like I came to this place, which is just, you know, Corona is on skyrocketing. People are dying every day. And for some reason, maybe they think I'm also in New York or, you know, like whatever it is, but they just think I'm in serious danger. And this is not my family only, even extended family and even friends, neighbors, people who I went with to high school and even university. I was in Daystar University for first degree and second degree. So I have so many people inboxing me, calling me, DMing me, asking me, are you safe? Are you okay? Oh, please don't go for the riots. So I'd like to hear from you. How is your family responding to both COVID and hashtag BLM?
Can I go first?
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you so much. On my part, I have a mathematic. So that in mind, my family was really worried when COVID hit, because apparently when you have a pre-existing condition, like if you're asthmatic, I think you are actually at a higher risk. If you contract the disease, you are at a higher risk. So every time my family and my friends were calling me and they were like, oh, just be indoors, please take care of yourself, you know. And I appreciated the care, and I didn't want to worry them much about that. And now when the BLM hit, it was really, really also, my parents and family were really worried. I remember there's a time I was jogging in my neighborhood, and then it was at around 4 p.m. and then my mom called me. So when she called me, I was like out of breath, you know. And then she was like, where are you? And I was like, oh, I was just running. And then she was like, why are you running? That was after the case of Ahmed Abri, who had been shot while he was jogging. And that is exactly what I was doing. And so she was like, where are you? And I was like, I'm just running. And she was like, are you closer home? And I was like, why? Yes, why? And she was like, who are you with? I'm alone. She was like, go back home. And I was like, I'm safe. So, okay, I understood her concerns because of what had happened and what they saw news and everything. But I didn't want to worry her much. So those have been much of their concerns. Every time when I don't call them, you know, after a day, they're like, hey, Peggy, you can't call people. You need to know how you're doing. So it has really made me, like, I used to talk to them maybe after every 2 days or something like that. But now it's like every day because I need to update them. This is how I'm doing and I'm okay, so that to, you know, just calm them down.
Yeah, you know, when this Corona was starting to explode, I was more worried of my people back home. You know what I mean? In terms of medical facilities and what is available in terms of health systems in Kenya. But it's so weird and ironical that now it's the other way around. They're more worried about me and what I'm doing and how I'm coping with this whole situation. So that's an interesting story that you've given about your mom being so worried of you going out for a jog. Anyone else would like to tell us how their families back at home have been responding to this crisis?
I think it's kind of the same because I'm having the same thing as well, like receiving more frequent phone calls than before. And you know, it's because they care about us and they always want to know how we are doing, especially because, you know, the United States was hitting the headlines as the world leading country in the on Corona cases. So they were really worried. And while you're here, you're also worried about them because each and every day when you hear the briefings on the health CS saying we have this certain number of cases today. So you are worried about them because you are thinking if the cases go really up, they are at a higher risk because, you know, all of us know how the health system in Kenya is and the resources we have over there. So, so it's, as you said, it's the other way around now. So they're worried about us because we have the resources, but we cannot contain the disease. And that gives them a little bit of worries because, you know, you get calls, messages from even people who, like, you talk to them like once or twice in a month, and they're really worried about you. And you know, that says many things. People care about you, even though you don't talk to them, and they know you are alone in a foreign land. You know, they know that they want to make sure you are okay. And and also the riots that came out the other day with the Black Lives Matter, you know, it's raising a lot of concern over there, and you know, it's just keeping them worried, and they have to call you to make sure you're fine. Yeah. Yeah.
That's very true, Gideon. Thank you for that. Anybody with a unique or different experience from the rest of us?
I think mine is not actually unique. It's just like my mom keeps reconfirming the state I am. Like, which state are you, by the way? Like, she already knows, but you know, she was like, she watches news, and I think she's concerned. So every time she calls, which state are you again? I'm like, Mom, you already know. But I'm like, yeah, I keep reassuring her that I'm safe. You know, I'm taking care. So in fact, the other day I told them, I'm even worried more about you than me. So they were kind of surprised how. I was like, here, at least I know I'm safe, but you guys down there, I'm kind of scared. So these people that I know, they care about us, and that's why they keep calling us every day. They keep, you know, they want to know our welfare, and that's a good thing. So for us, it's good to reciprocate and, you know, assure them that we are safe. We are doing the best we can, and we hope soon everything will come back to normal.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah, anyone else who has not spoken on this?
Miss Jeth, let me ask a follow-up question in relation to that. Most of you are saying your family are concerned. Are you concerned yourself about the BLM? Or has it affected you in any way?
To be honest, from well, it's always been an issue, you know. It's just that now the recent happenings have like brought it to light. And I've always known that my skin is black and there are some things that could happen to me because of that. But now I'd like to say that I'm more assertive, I'm more aware, and I'm more cautious, you know, of when I'm walking around, even when I'm going for a simple walk with my son. I like walking to a certain nature trail that is next to our house, but I'm more careful. Like, even I don't want to just be anywhere with anybody than I was before. But these things have always existed. The question I have is it more of a worry now that I'm, yes, black, but then secondly, I'm African? You know what I mean? Because I'm not even an American. Talking to me at first insight, when you hear my accent, you'll just know I'm not from here. So should I even be more worried because I come maybe a second class person? You know what I mean? So for me, I think I'm worried, but I also think these things are systemic, they've existed, and you almost need to bring yourself out there for you to be in such circumstances.
I think for me, the community I am in is a community that has tried to embrace diversity. I think even the university I'm in is among top 8 universities that for 25 years have embraced diversity, and issues of racism here, they are taken seriously. It's like the president of the university is so serious with them. The community around has very friendly people, because like this community, like you will find like people from everywhere in the world, at least. So before the Black Lives Matter issue came out, I had not realized. I used to hear from friends who are around here, like my friend who is in Alabama, where there are many rednecks. I hear there they tell it off your face. They don't hide it. They will tell you, Black Africans, go back to your country. You've come here to take over from us. But where I am, it was not a concern until this happened, and I'm even glad that immediately this happened, the universities came in strongly, and they were like asking students if you feel there is anything that has hindered your studies because of your race, or where you come from. They've even gone ahead to change, like last week, there's a building which had been named after one of the governor of this state who supported some racism laws by then. It was changed the other day. That is how serious they are. They have formed a committee to look into sports and athletics. They were concerned from Black students in football that the coach had like given out some views that suggested that they were bordering racism part. So they have formed a committee with immediate effect to look into grievances. Anyone who has grievances, they should be addressed. So for me, I say this was an eye opener. You will hear it from people, but I didn't know it's much entrenched. The same way I said, people are quiet about it. The silent majority who don't speak out. When people got an opportunity, people spoke out, and it has come out with that voice. From home, my family, I always update them what is happening, so they were not that worried because they knew how I'm doing. Like every day, they know the state I am in. So when they are following out on news, when they look at Oklahoma, Oklahoma is not those states that are appearing like on news all the time. So they believe on what I update them on what is happening. In fact, it's me who is more worried of them and how they are doing at home than me. Thank you.
Okay, I think I didn't handle that aspect of racism. So for me, prior to coming here, actually, I think, I don't know if it's faulting myself or something like that, but I think I had this narrative, just the same way, white people have a narrative of Africa, that one-sided story that Chimamanda talks about, that Africa is like this, which is not true, because most of them have never been to Africa. They don't know how Africa is. I think on the aspect of racism, that is race in America. That is how I was. My knowledge about racism was a little bit skewed because of what the media reports. So actually, before I came, especially regarding the Black Americans, that is the African Americans in America, the picture that has been portrayed outside there is that it's negative, like it's totally negative. So when you're coming all the way from home and you're coming here, I think at the back of my mind, I as an individual, I had, they're like this, they're like this, or that, those negative stereotypes. But the thing is, on coming here and then, getting to experience things firsthand, things that I've just read about, seeing now the other side of the story, like, people are really quick to judge on their reaction, why they're reacting the way they react. But the thing is, people never process what triggers that kind of reaction. So me being here and me having to experience all these, I call them injustices. It has really, changed my outlook, and it has really made me shift my perspective. Like, I'm in no position to judge anybody whatsoever until I walk in their shoes. So this racism thing has been an eye-opener, and owing to the fact that I'm also Black, I'm also African, it doesn't matter, I'm not excluded. The thing is, the color of my skin is dark, so I'm not different. So it has just really opened up a lot. And it has also, as Anne said, I'm more aware that, hey, you are Black and you're in America, you're Black. So don't you think that you're so special or something like that? So I think these are just some of the, things that I didn't know, and broadening of my perspectives on a lot of issues.
Okay. Thank you so much, Peggy, for that. I think I'm going to close that question so that we can open the floor for questions from the rest of the non-panelists. I would like to request that you keep your questions short and punchy, and even when you get an opportunity to answer, make it short and punchy, because we only have less than 20 minutes. We must end this session by 10 p.m. So at this point, feel free to ask your question.
let me ask questions since nobody want to ask question. This is Dr. Mutisia, educational professor of education, work with Gerono in North Carolina Central. And I put it in the chat how I came here with nothing, with $100 in the pocket, but in the 2 weeks I was able to get a full scholarship because I marched the Office of International Affairs, and because I saw how they were funding Asians and other Africans. And in Massachusetts, we put together African Student Associations, and we incorporated the African Americans as well, and the white people. So association was for everybody with the interest of Africa. And I've continued the same thing. Uhuru was actually was secretary of the association, but I don't see that that kind of interaction. You come here, but you just go to your cocoon. Even I see churches, the Kikuyu, Kambas, and you don't understand. This place is open. You have to be able to seek, even try to associate with people who do not know you. These people, especially African American, they look, when you don't interact with them, they think you are, and I have to speak on that because I'm married to African American, have a great family, successful family. No, I don't have no apology for that. It's been a great thing because I told them I'm gonna take back our people. So the point is, I want to just make sure that you use this forum and you use us in the KESA and create an identity here, which is a diaspora global experience, whereby you change the playing field. And I want to ask you, how do you use the professors from Kenya and Africa? And also, how do you understand the policies? It's how you cannot just come here and just expect people to embrace you. You have to come here and learn how to integrate. But how do you use your professors who are in your institution? Because I have had a lot of students in my university here, but I have to seek to them. I became an advisor for them by the creative, but still I saw reluctance in coming up. And it's not because you came here without F1 visa. And there are ways to support yourself, collaborate. And they have jobs which you don't have to get paid to get in trouble, but within the university. But how do you use that? If anybody have been successful, and what kind of struggles you have now? What can we do to support you?
I mean, quick question, like, what's your question again? Is it more like you're asking the challenges that students face who have on-campus jobs, or like what exactly is the question?
How do you use the faculty professors who are of Kenyan diaspora, who are here in institutions here, and how do you, what gaps, what are the barriers of using, and also networking with other students, with the other people who are from here? What are the barriers?
To add to that, Matisse, maybe the question is, how can we assist? Have you reached out to Kenyan professors in your institutions? What are the challenges, and how can we assist you as people who've been here and who've gone through, done that, been there and gone through these challenges?
Yes, thank you.
Any of the panelists can respond to that?
I think I can try to tackle it out. Most issues have been that we didn't have a platform. That's one I must agree. First of all, even when I joined this platform, I didn't know the essence of this platform until Professor Gerono explained to us in detail on what the platform is, how we can use the platform for, and how it can benefit us. The first thing, the same way Dr. Mutisia is saying, is we must come out and also know, because there is this notion, Professor Gerono, I will tell you, when we come in, we feel like those who came before us, they don't wanna like associate with us. The first thing when you come here, people make you feel like, when I try connecting with Professor Gerono, she'll feel I'm in a problem and I'll want money from her. So most students shy away from reaching you guys that came here early and are on a pathway, headway above us. So we fear, we stay in Kakuna and we don't want like reach out to you guys. But you see, with such a platform where you come and interact with us, that's the first thing. If you can't interact with us, people shy, because if I've never like interacted with you in any forum, it becomes hard, because as I said, we are coming to a society where you realize once you come in, life is about you and the way you take it. But the societal home where you believe that we are here as a group, here in US, it's a myth which we need to demystify. And then the second thing, Dr. Mutisia asked about the barriers we encounter when we are interacting with those who are from here. Mostly it stems from language. Second is our culture. The way we do things when you come here, they have a way. Language is the first thing. If someone has a problem trying to hear what you are saying, trying to understand what you are communicating to them, they tend to shy away. And as we said, if you don't come out hard and enforce, they will not come for you. But if you are coming out hard and pushing, they will be patient to listen. Even if they are not understanding their language, even if they are not getting your culture, they might be able to learn if you come out and you push. Thank you.
Dr. Ndingui, are you still on the forum? Dr. Ndingui?
Can I add something to that, Gilbert?
Yes, sure, go ahead. Okay, yes. And then Dr. Ndingui, I want him to share something that is done at this institution that is very inspiring. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so what Gilbert is trying to bring about on his first point is critically important to me. Because before Professor Gerono formed this group, we had zero access to faculty in the US, Kenyan faculty in the US. But after you opened the group, at least we started interacting with most of them. But then again, we still feel that the group is close-knit, if you know what I mean, because there's only so much that you can do on the group. And every time, even if you add a new member or even the existing one, we still don't know who's who in the group. And sometimes questions are posed and only a handful of the faculty come out to assist or to just answer, questions. So most of the times we actually end up like suffering with our own problems until maybe one of the faculty decides to come out and say, hey, we are here and we can help. Even in terms of research, when we're doing research, I'm sure you guys have like wealth of expertise and experience and knowledge and probably in the same field that we're in, but we don't know who's who and who's doing what and how we can reach them. So probably that's part of the website should have like, the whole list of people that we can work with, or maybe like mentoring subgroups can be formed in states, according to different states that we're in, such that if I am in North Carolina, I know I can reach out to Professor Philip Mutisia, I can reach out to Professor Gerono Rotich, and so on and so forth. That way maybe, and then maybe we can probably have in-state meetings, maybe once a semester or something like that. Currently, it seems like the faculty is far and there's a wall in between us and the faculty.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jati. I'm calling you a doctor already, but we are working on those logistics, like I said, for those. KSEED is a nonprofit organization that is registered in North Carolina, and I'll be contacting you to work on those logistics in collaboration with KESA. So I really appreciate that, and we'll take that feedback. And again, the idea is through KESA and through KSEED, we're here to support. Personally, that is my commitment to mentor, to give back. Whatever I have for the remaining of my life, I just want to give up. So we'll reach out, but I wanted to share, because of time, I wanted to share Dr. Peter Ndingui from Florida. He has an amazing, amazing story. is a colleague of mine. We brought him in, and we're actually going to partner together with Kasida and his organization. Dr. Ndigui, can you share what you did? I really like the fact that institution.
First of all, I know we don't have so much time, but Anne, man, this is beautiful. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Put up, and I am just so proud. Honestly, Gilbert, Peggy, Gideon, Moffat, Stanley, you guys, thank you. You make us so proud. And Anne, I want to follow up on what Dr. Mutisia said. Please reach out to us. We love it when you come to us. You guys put it very well. Stay connected. There is a family at home here, but we are family. My children in the Florida, I teach at the Florida Gulf Coast University. They are, and this is African students. We are not that many, but they are my babies, and they all there. Even I tell them, I'm your father here. I am your father here. I even check on their grades. I want to know how you're doing. If you get close to that nonsense of drugs and anything, you better go back home. Don't waste time here for nonsense like that. We are together. I'm so proud. So what did we do? We have that African Student Association. And first of all, let's go to the international fees. Everybody, we know how much more we pay. We met a professor in Massachusetts, Professor Dana Valley, who used to be the president there. He stopped that paying of the extra international fees. Now, because he did that, we were able to go to the president with my student and say, if it was done there, all this nonsense you keep telling us is an American system, if it was done somewhere else, it can be done here. And we'll give you examples, and everybody else. If they could do it there, they can do it, and now they are doing it. So the fees burden becomes lesser. You know, when the fees burden is not an issue too much, because most of us are coming from families where, you know, they need us there probably. There's no money we left behind. They sold all the cows and the goats. So we support one another. Other thing, in these times, don't be alone again. This COVID times, all these things, we are all going through the same thing. We went there. We can't get that care money. But you guys, like Professor Mutisia wrote down in the chat, right? There is money. There is money. And I know, Professor Letitia, I don't know how. You make me feel like crying to see these kids like this. We're going to partner together. Remember, even us, Professor Mutisia is my mentor, and all those others, we mentor because we go through issues in all institutions. Because I never knew how black I am until I came to America 2 years ago. I never knew even I was an African. I was always a Kenyan. Seriously, I was always a Kenyan. But now I am so black, I am so African, and I am so proud to be that. And seeing you guys, we are there for you. Anna, man, I want to see you the president of Kenya and lead good leadership. We have them here, but we must support one another. We'll be there for you. As you support your kid, we support each other. That's the way life should be. All the things you guys said. I've learned about those family programs, Gideon, everybody. We're in different places. Please stick to this forum. And then the other thing I wanted to ask is, that's systemic racism. I have a global conference next week. We put it in Kesset. And did you guys see it?
Yes, I posted it yesterday, yes.
From Africa, from everywhere. I would like you to come in on Thursday. It is at 4 o'clock. Listen to another panel. There is a lot to learn. And I hope one of these times I will have another panel of the students on that systemic racism. I can't go on. I can cry talking about this. You guys make us so proud. Thank you so much for being there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't know if all of you got what Dr. Ndingui did is at his institution, all international students pay institution. At the four-year institution, they pay African students. So we'll be sending many your way. African students pay institution.
Yeah.
Actually, we are not that poor. We own, but our money is in goats and cows. We don't know how to bring it here. If you show me how to bring it, so they told us, okay, you keep your cows. We'll take care of this.
There is money in every institution. When you're enrolled in a formal manner, you have a foreign visa, you should not be shying away to go say, knock the door and say, look, I cannot make it, you know, and say the truth. I guarantee you, you might get a full scholarship, even if you are a foreign student. I did it, and you can do it. And those days were worse than today. So please talk to us. And the other part, Gerono, I want to make sure that all of these students, we can work on raising funds to support their scholarship to attend CASA conference.
True.
And we need to create a mentoring program, which when a student, I don't care which state he lands in or she lands in, someone is there to bring it. We can do that. It's so simple. So simple to raise funds. Yeah.
So we'll do that. Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, we are planning, so we have some ideas with Dr. Ndingui. So that's why we had to do a 501c3, which is almost done. Yes. We will raise funds and we'll move on. So we really have great things coming ahead. I want to welcome Dr. Lillian Odero. She does some great and amazing things. Lillian Odero is the director of Counseling Center in Maryland. Lillian, are you still there? I can see you. And Dr. Mr. Amalo, did you make it? We really need to close so we can close the video part and then we have the free open session. Dr. Lillian Odero, sorry.
Hello, everyone. Oh, what joy to see. I am along with Dr. Mutisia in saying this is so commendable, and Dr. Peter at Florida Gulf Coast. I was at FIU, so I don't know how I missed you when I was down in Florida, but I am so excited to see what's going on out here. I'm in Maryland. I think it's Stanley who's at Eastern Shore, University of Maryland. I'm across 20 minutes from you, so please get in touch. I'm at Salisbury. I am available to students. I'm a psychologist, so those of you in mental health, social work, public health, get in touch. There is so many resources we have. You guys don't have to start things from scratch. When we have the resources, we have the ability to get you connected. So I mean, I do plenty. I'm doing a lot of workshops on social justice, systemic racism. Dr. Peter, we need to get together and do some of that work. I'm doing a lot. You guys talked really well about how you're coping and what you're doing to stay healthy. Yes, let me put my info here. No, but there's just so much.
I can send it. I can share with you. I have the two. I have your numbers, the two of you, so I can share the information.
Yeah, but really, I just wanted to say hello and say I appreciate what y'all are doing. And it's just awesome. It takes a village to be successful. None of us can succeed as an island, and the fact that some of us have been here for so long, y'all should not struggle trying to get it together. So reach out. I don't mind if you bother me, email me. If I have it, I'll give it, I'll share it. And sometimes it's just intellectual information and you'll be all right. So thanks for inviting me, Professor Gerono. Thanks for having me on here today.
Okay, thank you. I know we're trying to finish. Dr. Rosalyn Okembo was also here. Are you still here? We want to hear your voice. The famous Dr. Rosalyn Okembo was also here. Are you still here? Okay, I think she left. And Mr. Wamalwa is not, was flying. We've been staying in touch. But this session, I think we're going to close it right now. Thank you, Dr. Manyara. Dr. Manyara is also on the advisory board. I think I forgot to introduce him. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to our wonderful, wonderful students. Ann Jyoti, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of all the students. We're here to support you. It's funny because I was talking to Ann's son today and we had a problem and I said, listen, I'm going to take you out to lunch. So we're family, we take care of each other. So tell my boy I'm going to come get him tomorrow. I can take care of him. So thank you so much. We're going to close. Patrick, you can close the video and send it, shoot it over to Amalwa, and then we'll just open a session. Yes, Dr. Patrick.